If you checked your calendar, it's the third Sunday of the month, and here at Crossroads we have pancakes freshly made, the third Sunday of every month. And so I invite you to stay after the first worship time here. Before our second, which starts at 11:30 in Spanish, we have pancakes, and it's right over there. We call it East Bay, and there's always lots. And so please feel free to stay and enjoy and hang out and get acquainted a little bit too, as well as enjoy some of those. Last night, the clouds parted for a few minutes and got to see a little sunset. Our cottage faces west, almost directly west. And last night I noticed that the sun set right directly in front of our cottage. And that's maybe not remarkable to you, but me a little bit, because we've noticed over the months that we see the sun move, or we understand that. But in June, summer solstice, the sun is way over here. Way over here to the north, and now we're kind of halfway between summer and winter solstice, so it's moved right here, right halfway. And it was really just kind of this peaceful, calm time, but also kind of this, because I don't really like, fall's okay because of football and all that jazz, but I love summer. And so when it was June, way over here, I thought, man, this is great. Summer's coming. I was gonna love it. And now it's here, and now it's kind of moving relentlessly towards winter, which is way over here. And that means cold and rain and all that stuff. And I'm just complaining now, but that's kind of, just kind of, but it also means that Christmas is coming. And so once we, get December 22nd, winter solstice, and 25th, and the sun's going to start coming back up, and my spirits will rise again then, I'm sure. But, this is a common complaint as you talk to people in these days, it seems like, of where did summer go? It's the middle of September already, we're rushing, we're back into all the stuff and work and school and all this jazz. And where does time go? And that seems to be a fairly common question, no matter what time of the year it is where does the time go? And as you get older like us, people ask that more often, it seems like. It seems like it goes by faster. And related to that is followed on as life just seems too busy. You talk to people, how you doing? I'm just so busy. Life is busy. And there's something that makes us want life to slow down. But also, I don't know how to make that happen. How do we slow life down? In my office, I have a plaque that says, I come to the sea to breathe. And now I get to breathe every day because we're out there. But we all need those places, I think, those times, those days, those people to breathe. Because sometimes it feels like we just don't have time even to take a breath. There's the children's thing, the nursery rhyme about Goldilocks and the three bears, and if you remember that Goldilocks is looking for a place to take a nap, and she walks into the home of the three bears, and she tries out one bed and it's too hard, and she tries out another bed and it's too soft, and then she tries another bed and it's just right. So with that in mind, I have a Crossroads quiz for you today. When you consider your level of busyness, would you say you're not busy enough? Would you say that you are too busy? Or would you say in your level of busyness of your life, you are just right? So how many vote for not busy enough? You need more things to do. We have things for you to do here. So if you want to raise your hand, we have people that will point you out. How many say you're too busy? Too busy, too busy. And how many say, life's just about right. Good pace, good pace. Good for you. Because the rest of us on B need to learn from you how you do that. And so there'll be a class afterwards that you're teaching. And but most Americans, at least, and I think it's in most of the countries in the world, a lot of people would say that we're too busy. We're too busy. And some maybe have seasons of just right, but I think that's, life is just busy. It reflects, I think, the attitude of a lot of people is that there's just a lot of stuff going on, and we're trying to balance a lot of stuff, and we're trying to do all this kind of thing. And even a young guy like me remembers, the good old days, and we romanticize those, I know, but back in the old days, when I was a lad in Cedar Woolley, yes, absolutely, things were closed. The stores were closed. And you had to go to the big city. You had to go to a highway to find a gas station that might be open. So you had to plan ahead because everything did close down. And if the wall phone rang, because that's all we had was a wall phone, probably it was somebody saying, hey, they're coming over for dinner. Or somebody's calling up to say, let's go play basketball. And if you didn't answer it, if you were outside or something like that, there was no answering machine. There was no text, there was no Instagrams, there was no emails, there was no light blinking saying, come and answer me. You just missed it. There was no organized youth or adult recreational sports. There were no weekend-long tournaments in far-off cities. Sundays we'd sleep in a little bit and go to church, and then we'd have Sunday dinners and with suppers, we would call them oftentimes, with family and friends, and maybe shoot a few hoops, read the Sunday paper, go for Sunday drives, It's kind of reminiscent of one of my favorite music videos that I want to show you.
Sunday best, he's usually up to his chest in oil and grease. There's the Martins walking in with that mean little freckle-faced kid who broke a window last week. Sweet Miss Betty likes to sing off-key in the pew behind me. That's what I love about Sunday. Choir sways every verse of Amazing Grace, and then we shake the preacher's hand, go home into your blue jeans, have some chicken and some baked beans, pick a backyard football team, not do much of anything. That's what I love about Sunday. Stroll to the end of the drive, pick up the Sunday Times, grab a coffee cup. It looks like Sally and Ron finally tied the knot. Well, it's about time. There's 35 cents off a ground round, baby, cut that coupon out. It's what I love about Sunday. Swing, you curled up next to me. The smell of jasmine wakes us up. We take a walk down a back road, tackle box and a cane pole, carve our names in that white oak. Still a kiss as the sun fades. That's what I love about Sunday. Getting baptized, mama's hands raised up high, having a hallelujah good time, a smile on everybody's face. That's what I love about Sunday. Oh yeah, that's what I love about Sunday.
I don't know about you, but every time I hear that, it just sounds good. It just sounds right. I think that sounds like a good Sunday to me, and it awakens a little bit of a longing. It just feels like a deep breath, that pause, that break. So here's another quiz for you. It's a quote, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions about this. This author was startled by how little people seemed to value their lives as they were living them. How busy, how terribly busy everyone seemed to be, mortal in their fears, immortal in their desires, and wasteful of their time. He noticed how even wealthy people hustled their lives along, bitterly regretting their fortune, anticipating a time in the future when they could finally rest. People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. He observed. I have to repeat that twice. So, when was that written? And I'll give you multiple choices just to make it easier. So, would you say that was written in 1954, written in 1974, or written in 2014? So let's go backwards. How many guess 2014 that was written? How about 1974? 1954? You think I'm just making it up, the rest of you. The correct answer is the 1st century AD. Trick question. By a Roman philosopher named Seneca. How terribly busy people were in the 1st century AD. Sebastian de Gracia, who was a political scientist, looked at America and he was dismayed by all the relentless industry and consumption, and he wrote, "Modern life, that leisure squandering, money hoarding, grindstone nosing, frippery buying business left him exasperated." I love those adjectives there. He saw that everyone everywhere was running, but to where and for what? People were trading their time for all sorts of things, but was the exchange really worth it? And this was in 1962. Running. For what? For where? So do you think the pace of life has slowed up or sped up in the last 50 years or the last 2,000 years? Do you think life today is more or less stressful than it was 50 or 2,000 years ago? The Economist, which is a news and politics magazine, this was written 9 months ago, December 2014, said, "Alas, time ultimately is a strange and slippery resource, easily traded, visible only when it passes, and often most highly valued when it is gone. No one has ever complained of having too much of it. Instead, most people worry over how it flies and wonder where it goes. Cruelly, it runs away faster as people get older, as each accumulating year grows less significant proportionally, but also less vivid. Experiences become less novel and more habitual. The years soon bleed together and end up rushing past, with the most vibrant memories tucked somewhere near the beginning. And of course, the more one tries to hold on to something, the swifter it seems to go. The explosion of available goods has only made time feel more crunched, as the struggle to choose what to buy or to watch or to eat or to do raises the opportunity cost of leisure, i.e., choosing one thing comes at the expense of choosing another and contributing to a feeling of stress. The endless possibilities afforded by a simple internet connection boggle the mind. When there are so many ways to fill one's time, it is only natural to crave more of it, and pleasures are always fleeting. And as Albert Einstein noticed, it is all relative. An hour sitting with a pretty girl on a park bench passes like a minute, but a minute sitting on a hot stove seems like an hour. And to sum it up, Paul Harvey said, in times like these, it helps to recall that there always have been times like these. And so what do? We all have a defined number of minutes in our day. We all have a defined number of days in our life. What choices are we making? What are we going to do with that? What influences in your life determine what you do with your allotted time? I think that's sometimes we don't often stop to ask, because we're just trying to get through today. We're just trying to, get the diapers changed and off to school and get to work and get home and get the dinner cooked and get the clothes washed, and we're just in this rhythm. And we don't say, why are we? Are the expectations of my own, or the expectations of society? Is it possible to change? Is the sentiments of what I love about Sundays, is it just sweet sentiment, or is it actually attainable? Can we actually have at least a day a week like that? We all have choices that we make. And what are we choosing and why? We're going to go back a little further. I'm going to go 3,000 years ago now and read from the book of Ecclesiastes. I'm going to read from the paraphrase, The Message. Then I observed all the work and ambition motivated by envy. What a waste, smoke and spitting into the wind. The fool sits back and takes it easy. His sloth is slow suicide. One handful of people's peaceful repose is better than 2 fistfuls of worried work, more spitting into the wind. I turned my head and saw yet another wisp of smoke on its way to nothingness, a solitary person, completely alone, no children, no family, no friends, yet working obsessively into the night. I wonder why they didn't have any family or friends or children. Compulsively greedy for more and more, never bothering to ask, why am I working like a dog, never having any fun? And who cares? Never bothering to ask, to stop and just take a breath. More smoke, a bad business. It's better to have a partner than go it alone. Share the work, share the wealth. And if one falls down, the other helps. But if there's no one to help, tough. 2 in a bed warm each other. Alone, you shiver all night. By yourself, you're unprotected. With a friend, you can face the worst. Can you round up a third? A 3-stranded rope isn't easily snapped. 3 strands. And number 3 for the Israelites at that time was a typical number of completeness. And also, it was the strongest rope available they had at the time, was to have 3 strands. It's a text we often quote at weddings, talking about a husband and wife, and then the 3rd strand is Christ. It completes their marriage, makes it stronger, makes it harder to break. And that's certainly true, but in the text, it doesn't explicitly say that the 3rd strand is God. What it's speaking to is strength in community. Where there's 2, it's good, but where there's 3, there's better. Where there's more, it's better. In isolation, we are vulnerable, and when the adversary, or when adversity comes, there's strength in numbers. If we're alone, we're very vulnerable. But in community, in relationship, which certainly includes Jesus, we are better able to weather the storms. So today, if you are the 1st strand in your life, who are your 2nd and 3rd strands or more? Who are you choosing to invest and put your time into, that 2nd and 3rd strand? Are you all by yourself? Are you alone? And who or what are you choosing for those 2nd and 3rd strands? I grew up not far from here, going to church at Bethlehem Lutheran Church in Sidoli, still there. I didn't go because I chose. I started going as a baby because my mom took me. And then you started going to Sunday school, and I was in the angel choir. We had these cute little robes, you'd wear and get up in front and sing, however often we did that. And then that was before my voice changed and took any ability to carry a note along with it. And then in 5th and 6th grade, we got to be acolytes. Not a word you hear often, but acolytes, we would start the service with the organ be playing, and we'd come out from the back, and we had this thing with a light on it, and then we go and light candles, and there were 6 of them, and you had to do it in the right order. You had to start on the left, and you worked in, and you went to the other side, and you worked in. And then you had to sit up front on a hard chair the whole service up there, and everybody out there was watching you all during the singing, and now you're up there, so you couldn't fall asleep or take a nap, and we didn't have any, smartphones to play anything with. So you're just sitting there. And at the end of the service, you go out and you extinguish all those candles back in the same order. Well, then 7th and 8th grade, we went to confirmation. And confirmation for us, that means you spent learning about the Bible and about the doctrines of the church. And ours was 6 a.m. on Wednesday mornings, all through school for 2 years. And then when you were confirmed, as acolytes, we also had robes. And when you got confirmed, you also had a robe. In the Lutheran church, we liked robes. And so when you were confirmed, we were all up front. There was 18 of us. And then we got we were members of the church as soon as you were confirmed. And you received your first communion. You could actually go up and take communion that day. Before that, you could go up and kneel, as we did, but the pastor would pray for you, but you couldn't receive the elements. Well, then you were part of church. For us, there was no youth group, there was no youth camps, there was no small youth groups. It was just go to church. And so gradually I drifted away. And I went for a while, but when high school comes and you start having other activities and things, there wasn't really anything. I mean, I knew the church, I knew when to stand up, sit down, I knew all the stuff, I knew all the responses, I knew all the hymns. And so there wasn't anything that really drew me there. And so it kind of drifted away. My wife Terry grew up at a non-denominational church up in Geneva Community Church in Bellingham. Her experience was longer because there was youth and there was Camp Furwood and the Furs up there, and she was involved. But similarly, kind of in our college age, years, neither one of us were really going. And then we met each other and we got married. And then we said we should go back to church. And it was about this time of year. We got married in April, and it was the following fall we should go back to church. And so we started checking out some churches. And we ended up with one. And we considered that there was things there that we liked, that we enjoyed. We liked the music, we liked the preaching. But it was the relationships, it was the connections that we made. And it reawoken, I think, that desire to be in a community of faith, to be with people. And for Terry and I, we certainly believe that the metaphor of Ecclesiastes is true, that we are two strands, but Christ is our third. Christ is our third. But if we consider that when we got married, the two became one, and Christ is our third, well then, what is that second strand for us? And oftentimes that has been the church. And it's not a building or a name, it's the people of the church. Most of, not all of our closest friends, but not all of our closest friends are part of church, are people of faith. Most of our short list of people that we call in a time of crisis are most, but not all, but most are from church, people of faith. The parenting classes that we took when we were raising our children were involved in church. Our children were nurtured in the care of the church. Does that guarantee, our kids aren't perfect. Does it guarantee you have perfect kids if you raise them in church? No, but the Bible promises if you direct your children in the way they should go, from the biblical ways, and surrounded and nurtured by people of faith, that there's a better opportunity when they're old, they'll return to it, if they haven't stayed with it. And I just believe that the children raised in church, that's why we have children's ministry, that's why we have youth ministry, that incubated in that community of a people of faith, surrounded by people who are seeking to follow Jesus and express his love and do their best to be like him, just provides a better atmosphere for children to be raised in. Doesn't guarantee that they're not going to stumble, doesn't guarantee anything, but I believe it creates a better opportunity for that to happen. The marriage classes that we've taken, the courses that we've taken, the books that we've read to influence our marriage have been around church, have been faith-based. Does that guarantee we don't have a perfect marriage? Does that guarantee there's not going to be hard times and difficulties? No, not at all. But it gives you tools, it gives you strength, it gives you an environment for marriage to really succeed in, and not just succeed, but really to be vital and to flourish. As soon as we started attending, we became involved, and partly some asked us, other times we just kind of took some initiative and stepped out, and we started working with youth, we started ushering, and one of the very first things is we got involved with a small group, and that's been part of our life ever since. There's seldom a season goes by that we're not part of a small group studying the Bible, talking about faith with other believers. And we have something called I Love Sundays coming up here, and it's going to be five weeks of opportunity be together with other people. There's a thing in your bulletin that says I Love Sundays. It tells where the different groups are, when they meet. There's sign-up sheets over here. You can also sign up right here and just leave it on your chair or give it to me afterwards while you're eating a pancake. And there's a tear-off on the back so you can remember what you signed up for, because I always do that and then I forget what I signed up for. And so there's a handy little thing there. But I really encourage you, if you've never been part of a small group, to give it a try. It's 5 weeks. It's not forever. And I promise you, they're normal people like you. I promise you, if you've never opened the Bible, if you don't even have one, if you don't know where it is, if you've got a dust an inch thick on it, it's okay. It's okay. We're not going to ask you any questions that you're going to have to answer. We're not going to put you on, nobody's going to be put on the spot. It's okay. Just come. Just give it a try. Just give it a try. And encourage you to do that. Sign up today. They're starting in a couple of weeks or a week and a half. And again, you're going to see the dates on there and the locations. But encourage you to do that, to give it a try. Terry and I love church. We love being a part of community of faith. It doesn't mean that you don't have hard aches in church. It doesn't mean you don't have struggles. And some of the most difficult struggles I've had in relationship and the people of church. That's just true. I don't want you to create any false expectations that, everybody's going to be wonderful and they're going to be your best buds and everything. That's not true. It's not true. But it means you have more in common than you have in differences. It means that even people I struggle with have something to offer me and I have something to offer them. Some of our greatest relational, our most deep and meaningful relationships have come from people of faith, people who are in church, that spanned decades and will span eternity. Again, it doesn't mean you don't have challenges, but it does mean that you're in a place where because of Christ, because of His presence with you can love so much more deeply and be loved so much more deeply by people who love Jesus and are seeking to follow Him. For Terry and I, it's a different season. We don't have kids at home. We don't have those pressures anymore. We're really trying to make Sundays a day that we come to church. I got to be here, but we would anyway. If I didn't work for church, I would be here. There's opportunity costs and all this, but we try to make Sundays a family day. It's a time when we can go see family, hang out with friends. The sentiment, the idea, the concepts of that video just hit me so strong. Is that a chance of worship, a chance just to take a break, just to step out of the busyness for a while, just to breathe. And I can't imagine doing that without Jesus in my life. And I can't imagine doing that without being involved in a church community of people of faith who I'm accountable to and who are accountable to me, who have permission to speak into my life of who I am and what I'm doing. And when I get caught up in a rat race, to say, how are you doing with that? So what is church? What is church? Why go back if you've been away from it for a while? Why, if you've tried it today, why come back next week? Church is a group of imperfect people seeking to follow Jesus together in community, learning to love God and learning to love others. Yes, I'm a great fan of reading the Bible on your own and doing your own personal Bible study. I'm a great fan of having a personal devotion life and prayer life. But I believe if that's all you do, it's going to turn into a religion, because we're all very self-centered and we're all focused on me. And when we do it by ourselves, we make things for us. But we're in a community when we're studying the Bible together, when we're singing together, or worshiping together, when we're doing things together in this community. We hear the truth. The Spirit opens that up through other people's observations, other people's readings, other people's meditations. And regular worship and coming together here, we get our attitudes and our priorities readjusted. We have opportunities to evaluate it. We have a place to find and be reminded of the hope that we have. No matter what we're facing, no matter where we've been no matter what we've done, no matter what we've left undone. In a world of challenges and grief and countless choices, we have an opportunity to be reminded that we are loved by the Most High God who created us, who loved us, who desires nothing but the best for us, who wants us to know Him and follow Him. We have a place to serve, and ways that make a difference, to find and experience the healing and peace of Christ, no matter, again, what you've done in the past. If you've turned your back, you've been away, the arms are open. Christ is here, desires you to turn towards Him. It's the middle of September, the midpoint between summer and winter solstice. It's time to go back to school. I hope for you, if you've been away, it's time to go back to church. This is a place for you that fits. Welcome home. Welcome home. We look at this sun and see the God who cannot be seen. We look at this sun and see God's original purpose in everything created. For everything, absolutely everything, above and below, visible and invisible, rank after rank after rank of angels, everything got started in Him and finds its purpose in Him. He was there before any of it came into existence, and He holds it all together right up to this very moment. And when it comes to the church, He organizes and holds it together like a head does a body. He was supreme in the beginning and leading the resurrection parade. He is supreme in the end. From beginning to end, He's there, towering far above everything and everyone. So spacious is He, so roomy, that everything of God finds its proper place in Him without any crowding at all. You yourselves are a case study of what He does. At one time, you all had your backs turned to God, thinking rebellious thoughts of Him, giving Him trouble every chance you got. But now, by giving Himself completely at the cross, actually dying for you, Jesus brought you over to God's side and put your lives back together, whole and holy in His presence. You don't walk away from a gift like that. You stay grounded and steady in the bond of trust, constantly tuned into the message, careful not to be distracted or diverted. There is no other message, just this one. Every creature under heaven gets the same message, and I, the Apostle Paul, the writer of it, are a messenger of this, and so are you.